Accused killer Luigi Mangione dodging the death penalty in the murder of healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. A federal judge finding it did not meet the legal definition for a crime of violence. Let's bring in Paul Mauro for more on this. Paul, anybody who's seen the video wonders how in the world did the judge ever come to that determination?
Well, you know, John, the federal system is really not designed to prosecute standalone murders. That's really a state thing. Generally, in the federal system, murders get prosecuted as part of something like a RICO or something like that. What the prosecutors tried in this case is to import the murder charge using stalking. They call it the federal hook. To charge murder as a standalone in a case like this, you need another charge, a crime of violence, to import it. And that became the question. Can stalking be used as a quote-unquote crime of violence to therefore import the murder charge? Now, after the last hearing, about a month ago or so, there were a number of us who was quite skeptical that that was going to hold up. It's a very novel approach. The judge in this instance seems to have agreed with that. And as a result, the murder charge is out. The stalking charge has been considered not a crime of violence. And so the death penalty is now off the table in this case.
All right, so what's left then?
The stalking charges. There are two stalking charges that remain in place. They carry life imprisonment without parole. Now, we should recognize also that the prosecutors do have the option to appeal. So that's called an interlocutory appeal. It's a fancy way of just saying, while the case is going on, they're going to go up the chain to see if they can get this overturned. It's not clear that they're going to. It was talked about in court today. They said they need a little more time to examine it. Realistically, there's not a whole lot to examine. There's not a lot of case law on this, but if they do appeal, it'll slow things down federally considerably, and then it's likely that the Alvin Bragg case down the block, the state case, will go first.
Yeah, I want to talk about that in just a second, but the prosecution lost on the murder charge and the capital charge, but they won in that the judge denied a motion to suppress the evidence that was found in his backpack. That includes a firearm, a loaded magazine, a silencer, and his alleged manifesto journal. But if you're not going to prosecute him for a crime of violence involving murder with a firearm, what does any of that matter?
Well, if nothing else, what it does is it demonstrates his very clear intent, because the stalking charge, as I said, carries life in prison without parole. So, you know, there's a whole continuum there of what the sentencing could be if and when he were to be convicted of that. And the judge knows that evidence is going to come in. And so it has all that stuff in the manifesto about what he wanted to do, why he was doing it. All of that can be considered at sentencing. So, John, if nothing else, if you prove the stalking interstate, using the internet, coming across state lines, all of that stuff federally, and then you have the added on stuff of what he wanted to do, it argues that he could be looking at a very harsh sentence and maybe life without parole in the federal system.
It's just so weird, though, that nowhere in there is a murder charge. You mentioned the trial date. So here's the current trial schedule for the federal court. Jury selection set to begin on September the 8th. The non-capital trial begins on October the 13th. But the Manhattan DA's office, as you pointed out, wants to go first. Here's what the Assistant District Attorney Joel Siderman said, quote, "The state has an overriding interest in trying this defendant for the cold-blooded execution of Brian Thompson on December 4, 2024. Federal law supports our request that we proceed first, and outright to a speedy resolution of this case would be severely compromised should the federal trial proceed first." So they want to go for the murder charge. As you pointed out, murder is typically a state charge, not a federal charge. Who do you think wins in this case, the state or the feds?
I think the way things are going, I would not be surprised at all if the state gets there first. First of all, I think there's a good chance that the prosecutors in the federal case will appeal. That'll slow things down significantly. Second of all, in the state cases just in general move more quickly. They are further along. But I will say that the judge in the federal case, this was brought up in court today, and she said, I have not heard from the state, and as far as I'm concerned, that is irrelevant to the current proceedings, and she set the date that you said. I have to tell you, John, to have both of these going on at once simultaneously is extremely rare. Generally, somebody makes a call someplace along the line, but so far, the judge indicated today in court that that has not happened. But as you and I have been pointing out, generally murders, state case. And so if I had to guess, I'd put my money on the state case going first.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on this and see where it goes. Good to have you on the case. We'll let you get inside and warm up that nose. Paul Mauro for us. Paul, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It is very cold over there.
Sure is.
The White House is cracking down on fraud and corruption and putting a spotlight on hospice care fraud happening in L.A. William Mangione has more now from Los Angeles. Hi there.
Aisha, hospice fraud costs taxpayers $200 million a year, and nowhere is it worse than here. Ghost patients, sham companies, corrupt doctors. They bill for care they never provide, and owners steal Medicare numbers from seniors who don't even know they're on hospice till they need real care, but can't get it because the hospice owns their Medicare number.
They're human traffickers. They're trafficking beneficiaries.
Hospice fraud in L.A.
Hospice is crazy here. You've got hospice that's grown 7-fold in the last 5 years. They represent about $3.5 billion of fraud, we believe, just in L.A. County.
We are ground zero for the scammers.
Sheila Clark says hundreds of L.A. hospices falsely bill the government for unnecessary care, often cycling patients from one provider to another.
It's a non-ending benefit. That hospice is making, $4,000 a month indefinitely.
Patients are bought and sold like trading cards. Ads tell recruiters to post up at busy shopping centers or senior living addresses to knock on doors. They promise patients walkers, wheelchairs, and can earn $300 for any senior over 62 they sign up, sick or not.
Their entire job is to go and find seniors that they can get money for.
Those patients and their Medicare numbers are then sold to providers.
A Medicare MIB number is more lucrative than a credit card.
How much money are federal taxpayers being taken for?
Millions, billions.
These are Russian Armenian gangs, mafia, that are leading a lot of these efforts, we believe, have been able to corrupt and work with doctors who are willing to lie.
If you don't have the physician, you don't have anything.
One doctor billed the government $120 million in a single year, claiming to oversee 1,900 patients. With almost 2,000 hospice agencies, LA County has more than 36 states combined, and 30 times more than either Florida or New York.
18% of the whole country's home health care billing is coming out of Los Angeles County. How is that possible?
And take a look at this map, a cluster of 287 hospice providers in a 2-mile radius, some in strip malls, unmarked buildings, even a wrecking yard and vacant lot.
All of it is just paperwork. I could fill that out in Kazakhstan if I want and get a hospice license waiting for me.
It's real human life, and it has consequences.
The problem, says Clark, once a beneficiary's number is assigned to a hospice, that patient can't get care anywhere else, including a hospital.
We need to listen to these people when they say, I've been scammed.
Now, Governor Newsom filed a civil rights complaint against Dr. Oz for unfairly targeting the Armenian community. However, the governor's own auditor and prosecutors say the Armenian organized crime is involved with Medicare fraud. As for California, auditors also told Governor Newsom 4 years ago that lax state controls created this mess. It did prompt a moratorium on new hospices, and since then the state has revoked about 280 licenses. Aisha?
William, great investigative reporting there. Thank you for doing that for us.
Sure.
Good to see you.
And a Fox News alert with some sad news to report to you this Friday afternoon. Legendary comedic actress Catherine O'Hara has died. She was known for her iconic roles from Kevin's mom in the Home Alone series to Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek. The Canadian-born O'Hara died at her home in Los Angeles after what her agency says was a brief illness. She's been in the comedic business for a long time. She was an alum of the Second City Theatre Company in Toronto, Canada, where I first had the pleasure of meeting her in the late 1970s. Wow. She was also one of the creators of the sketch show SCTV. Catherine was just 71 years old. We'll be praying for her and her family. We'll be right back.
Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.